Hi everyone, my name is Serena and you're watching The Safe Space on YouTube. Please remember to subscribe to our channel. Today my guest will be Dr. Karen Bluth, who is an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of North Carolina and a research fellow Frank Porter Graham Child Development Institute, where she conducts research on self-compassion and its influences on the emotional well-being of teens. Dr. Bluth is the co-creator of the curriculum Mindful Self-Compassion for Teens, as well as the author of several books, articles, and research studies that are linked in the description below. Okay, welcome, Dr. Bluth. Thank you so much for being here today. I know our viewers will really benefit from this interview.
It's my pleasure to be here, and so nice to speak with you, Serena.
Yeah. My first question is, how does social media have a negative impact on teens, and how can social self-compassion help this?
Yeah, so one thing that happens with social media is that we all, not just teens, actually tend to compare ourselves and our lives with other people. And this can be dangerous because, as we know, people don't necessarily post their challenges or the difficult things that they're facing in their lives, or moments when they're feeling lonely or sad or depressed. They post their best selves, and they use often filters and different ways of curating their selves. So what ends up happening is that we end up looking at comparing ourselves and our lives with what's going on, what we see on social media in other people's lives. The problem is what we're seeing isn't really accurate, right? So what we're seeing is some curated image, and that makes us feel often bad about ourselves and bad about our lives, like we're doing something wrong, or we might think, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my life? Why don't I have all the fun that this person is having? Self-compassion can help by, first of all, recognizing that what we're seeing isn't necessarily an accurate portrayal of that person's life, and that we can be supportive and kind to ourselves in the moment when we see these images. We can say things to ourselves like, "Oh, right, that's not really an accurate depiction of this person's life. They're not showing all the moments of their lives. They're only showing maybe the best moments of their lives." And I can say some kind words to myself. I can say to myself, I too have good moments in my life, and I have moments that are hard also, but this person probably does also. So it could be supportive to yourself in that way. The other thing I wanted to mention was that social media isn't all bad. So what we know from research is that it's pretty mixed. So sometimes it can have a negative impact, but there are times when it makes people feel more connected, and times when it makes teens feel more connected. It depends on usually how they're using social media, and whether they're doom scrolling, right? And or whether they're particularly looking for specific things on social media. So it's very much a mixed bag. It's not always negative, but unfortunately we tend to compare ourselves, and that can have negative outcomes.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's some good advice. And our next question is, there's lots of research studies that show too much social media can cause increased isolation among teens. So what is common humanity, and how can it help with this isolation?
Yeah, common humanity is the understanding that whatever we're experiencing, emotionally, others experience it also, and that this is part of the human condition. This is part of simply being human and walking around on this earth. We all experience sadness, loneliness, depression, anger, feeling insecure, feeling bad about ourselves. We tend to think often that we're supposed to be happy all the time. That's kind of like, that's normal. That's the norm, is to be happy all the time. But that's not what life is like. Life has moments of joy and moments of feeling happy and moments of having a lot of fun, and then moments that are hard and moments that have these what we call negative emotions, sadness and loneliness. And the important thing is to learn how to deal with those difficult moments. That's the challenge. And that's where self-compassion can be really helpful, is when we're feeling sad or when we're feeling lonely, how can we be there for ourselves? How can we be a good friend to ourselves? How can we support ourselves when we're feeling that way, when we're having a hard time? And what we know from research is that self-compassion, teens that are more self-compassionate have less anxiety, less depression, and experience less stress. So this is why we really want to reach out to all teens and help teens learn how to be more self-compassionate, so that it doesn't have to be so hard, like these teen years don't have to be all that hard.
Yeah. Okay, so our last question is, what age do you recommend teens should get social media, and how much time should they be spending on it?
Well, I am not a social media expert, so I don't know if I can really answer that question or answer how much time they should spend. There are recommendations from the APA, the American Psychological Association, that has come out recently, that has a lot of that information. But I will say the one thing that really concerns me is what teens are not doing when they're on social media. And so often, when teens are on social media, they're not doing other things like getting together in person with their friends, or getting exercise, going out and bike riding, or swimming, or just hanging out, just spending time with their friends and family. And that's really, really important. That's where you get a feeling of connection and a feeling of belonging and a feeling of, and we need that. We all need that a lot. Teens really, really need it a lot, but adults need it also. It's a human need to feel like a part of, feel like you belong, and to feel like a part of, of a community. So that's what really worries me, and what concerns me is what's not happening and also sleep. A lot of times teens and adults are on social media and not getting enough sleep, and that can be really, really detrimental, really bad for your health.
Yeah.
So so I would suggest that teens look at those and parents of teens look at those recommendations from the APA, but also look at what they're not, what they're missing out on, or what they would be doing otherwise if they weren't on social media.
Yeah, thank you. The APA website will be also linked in the description. And thank you so much, Dr. Bluth, for your time and this amazing interview. And please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, the Safe Space Teen to Teen. Thank you.
Thank you, Serena.